Almost. He would live through to the end and see the great secret which awaited him emblazon his name throughout space. Fanner Marston would bring a new era, a day when spaceships no longer had to land in seas to save themselves from being shattered, when men would be hampered no longer in combating the atmospheres of many now uninhabitable planets. The wealth of the universe would be his for the taking. The entire race of mankind would bow to his command like vassals. For there, glittering in the sunset, was Parva. Parva, the city of the great secret. Darkness caught him, and he groped his stumbling way among a great forest of black boulders. He did not mind the shocks of falling, the cuts inflicted upon him, the gouges of the unkind earth, nor did he mind the constantly increasing size of his tongue. Distance he had mastered. Mere thirst would not stop him now. And besides, he had seen it, just like in the legends. The Silver River. What cared he for thirst when that mighty stream awaited him? Fanner Marston, master of the universe. It was a pleasant title to resound through his brain. Black-mouthed with thirst, stumbling with fatigue, light-headed with his dream of power, he struggled on through the night. Fanner Marston had always considered himself some favorite child of fate. He knew now that that must be so. How otherwise could he win through where so many had failed? How otherwise could he alone of 40 men come to his goal? Fate meant this to happen to him. The devils who were his guardians strongly bore him to his victory. He alone would reach Parva. He alone would know. He had forgotten where first he had heard the legends of this city he now approached, for he had not immediately grasped their truth and significance. As a child, he had been too hardly driven as a slavey in a pirate camp to dream much on the mastery of the universe. As a young man, petty thievery in the large cities of the universe had occupied his skills. Not until he had become master of his own craft and crew, not until he realized that there was destiny awaiting him, did he turn his mind in earnest upon Parva. There, men said, lay the most advanced science of the universe, sealed up in a strangely constructed city, covered with the dust of eons. It had been seen from afar by this one. It had been reported by a man gone mad with thirst. It had crept down the centuries in the literature of space. One and all agreed that Parva and Parva alone contained the sum total of knowledge gathered by a vanished race, one which had been so far advanced that ethereal communication with the planets had been possible, that its spaceships could land on ground. That civilization had used atomic power, not radioactive fuel. Its men had been able to clothe themselves against the rigors of the many uninhabitable planets. And then Parva alone remained, of all that great culture, and Parva itself had died. But within it, there must be the great secret. Of the great secret, men understood very little, save that which had been expressed in a short formula. But with that formula, a man might master all. Fanner Marston had no qualms about getting out, for if he had the great secret, would not travel be a simple thing? He could see himself arriving in triumph on Earth, center of the universal culture which now obtained. He could hear the cheering throngs and feel the waves of adulation which would be his. And he could nearly taste the liquors, fantastically expensive and satisfying, which he would drink, and feel the warm flesh of the women who would love him, would love the master of the universe. And he would tell men to go hither and thither. He would move great armies and fleets. He would cause vast conquests, and kings would bow before his brilliance and his might. For all of eternity he would be remembered. The great secret would be his. Dreaming, not realizing how acutely his body suffered and how slender became his strength, he struggled on until dawn, through the dry washes, over the shaled ridges, through the gritty valleys.